How you doing? We're doing something called a conversation. I'm not even talking to your guys at all. They're going about their business, and I'm going about mine. It only takes 5 minutes. I'll be out of your way very soon. I appreciate the cooperation. I appreciate it. I mean, I know I'm not allowed to talk to these guys, so I'm not. What?
It was really interesting to watch you sitting there as you were setting up and somebody came up to you off camera and said, you know, what are you doing here? Does that happen to you a lot?
It happens all the time. In fact, there were several people who've come by and asked us what we're doing here and asking us not to talk to any of the workers here, and they're just very curious, and I guess it's their job to prevent all these people from talking to the press. I'm not sure why that is. And Dan, BP recently rescinded the standing order that it's had within for the 20+ thousand people who work for it, telling them not to talk to the press. I don't think that's observed here. People everywhere you go say, well, we can't tell you. Even if you ask them who they work for, they tell you that they can't even tell you that. So it's kind of a little odd tidbit and strange dynamic of working here.
But it seems like there's a sort of pervasive paranoia, and I'm not quite sure I fully understand why.
Well, I don't know if you're seeing what's going on behind, but apparently they're clearing some of the workers who were behind us, which is the reason we set up this shot, and they pushed them away farther down the beach to be away from this shot, I guess, fearing additional publicity. I don't know why, especially because there's been so much criticism of BP and the Coast Guard and the federal response saying they haven't done enough to combat this oil spill. And here we see dozens of workers on this beach wearing little booties and carrying around shovels and picking up the most minute speck of oil of these little patties of tar balls that sort of look like this off the beach. They seem to be doing their job. I think they should be commended for it and maybe receive a little bit of press for it, but I guess there's no interest.
One of the other fascinating things is this sort of two-sided, somewhat paradoxical attitude that people down there have toward BP. On the one hand, people are incredibly angry at the company. On the other hand, nobody wants to see the company go bankrupt because so many people rely on that industry.
Rely on the industry, and right now they rely specifically on the income they get from BP. There are thousands of people involved in the cleanup, so they are absolutely dependent on BP because right now, obviously, fishing is gone for the season, and it creates this very tense relationship with BP. On the one hand, people here would like to condemn it. On the other hand, they're afraid of going on the record. And we've noticed this most starkly, Dan, when dealing with the folks who've fallen ill from working out in the oil spill. We've had countless people tell us that they are ill, that they have headaches, that they have upper respiratory problems. And remember, Dan, after the Exxon Valdez disaster in 1989, 7,000 workers who had been involved in the spill, and this is according to Exxon's clinical data, fell ill with upper respiratory distress. Now, we don't know the numbers here, but similar types of dispersants are being used. People are exposed to similar types of fumes, and it's hotter out here, so the fumes rise and are even more potent. And yet we haven't seen people come forward because they need these jobs. They know that once BP goes away and this oil's cleaned up, the fisheries are not going to remain, so they have to rely on this cash income now, and they're not willing to go against BP, and certainly not on the record, certainly not in front of.
Earlier in the day, we saw other crews bring in crate after crate of polluted wildlife to this triage center on Grand Isle. That's where we found the rules for capturing images of these birds had changed.
Ma'am?
What?
I'm going to have to ask you to stop taking pictures of me.
We were asked to turn our cameras off, and this official with the Louisiana State Animal Response Team, or LSART, a contractor hired by BP, told us we could not enter the bird triage center, even though we received permission to do just that from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. LSART makes the last call on this? LSART makes the final call?
I make the final call based on the condition of the birds coming in.
Todd Baker with the Louisiana Fish and Wildlife Service says it's out of an abundance of caution.
It's more important for the animal, for the animals to have a quiet, calm, controlled area at this point.
Talking to the rescuers was another problem. One volunteer told us off camera he had signed a document stating he would not talk to the media. Another rescue worker who told us he would be fired if he spoke up instead gave us these images.
All of this media blackout seems to warrant the question, what is BP and the federal government hiding from the United States public? The truth is that people everywhere are getting sick because of the spill and because of the cleanup process, and crops are getting ruined. To put it bluntly, we the people and our crops are being poisoned en masse. BP has admitted to using at least over 1 million gallons of Corexit to disperse the oil, the same chemical that has been banned in England for its levels of toxicity. Keep in mind that BP is from England. Corexit has earned the EPA's highest toxicity warning label as it attacks the liver, the central nervous system, the kidneys, and is even toxic to the blood. And to make matters even worse, the EPA has asked BP to stop using Corexit, but BP has refused. With all of this poison in the atmosphere, the oil fumes, the toxic Corexit, it is no wonder why BP and the government are not allowing the media to access the beaches. The chemicals are making people sick. As MSNBC reported, at least 70 people have already been put in hospitals. News reports are even alerting the public about the unsafe air quality, as Ricky Ott, marine toxologist, explains.
People are coming in sick. Something more needs to be done. And we're seeing sick people already, and we saw this with Exxon Valdez. We had 6,722 cases of upper respiratory illnesses. I'm still dealing with sick people 21 years later. 100% disabled. A lot of them have died. And I don't want to see that happen here. This is, just well known that oil vapors cause, respiratory problems, central nervous system problems, right down the line. And it's not just in humans. This knocked out harbor seals in Prince William Sound because they came up and they breathed the oil vapors. And when their carcasses were autopsied, their brains were fried from breathing the vapors that are out there. We knocked out over 20 whales from the same problem, narcotic effect of volatile organic carbon. And this is what EPA is now saying is at high levels, here.
So not only the people doing the cleanup, the fishermen out there right now, but the media that's covering this event, they should take heed to this.
The thing is that our bodies only have so many ways to say we're getting sick. And the symptoms for chemical-induced illnesses mimic colds and flu. So we had the Valdez crud in 1989. We had the Katrina crud. We had the 9/11 crud. Really, the problem here is that we're talking about toxic exposure. If it's a cold and flu, you get over it when you go home. If it's not, I get people like now saying, I thought I had the Valdez crud in 1989. I didn't think I would have it for 14 years, 16 years, 21 years, dead. We want to make sure that it's safe to live here as well. I'm not seeing any precautions.
To make matters even worse than they already are, BP has told its workers that they will be fired if they wear respirators, calling them unnecessary, which may lead to mass hysteria.
Is BP now making claims so difficult to file that no one will get paid enough? And are fishermen too scared to speak out about what's happening down there? Our next guest says yes, she should know. She's just returned from a trip to the Gulf. Carrie Kennedy is the president of the RFK Center for Justice and Human Rights. Carrie, it's so great to have you here. We want to get to all the things that you saw on your trip. But first, explain how BP is actually denying some of the cleanup crews that you spoke to the proper clothing and equipment and respirators. Why?
In all 3 states that I visited, fishermen said that when they went out to work on the cleanup, that if they tried to bring respirators, they were told that that is unnecessary equipment and would only spread hysteria.
To see those images of people with respirators, BP doesn't want that hysteria.
That's exactly right. And when I went out with 11 people, we had respirators on, and within half an hour, all of our eyes were burning and our throats were closing, and we all had headaches with respirators.